The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
Well, good afternoon, representatives, staff, and visitors. I'm honored to be with you today. My name is Angela Denker. I'm the teaching pastor at Easter Lutheran Church in Eagan. So I want to say a special thank you to Representative Lori Halverson, who invited me to be here today, and I've had so much fun getting to know her. A brief introduction before we pray. I chose this day specifically to be with you all, surprisingly, because it's the Monday after the Super Bowl. And 10 years ago, I was covering the Super Bowl as a sports writer and decided to make this switch into public service, which I'm sure all of you as public servants, you can understand the difficulty of changing careers. But it's been very fulfilling for me, and I'm sure for you as well. And we won't talk about the Vikings or the Packers today, so we'll leave that out. I also want to thank you for making prayer a part of your session time. Seeking the guidance and presence of a God whose wisdom is greater than our own, I think is especially needed in American politics today. I spent most of 2018 traveling the country and interviewing people in red counties about the 2016 election for my forthcoming book, Red State Christians, Understanding the Voters Who Elected Donald Trump. I think there's a great desire for dialogue and understanding in America today, and that often begins by acknowledging that none of us have all the answers. In response to our own inadequacy, we turn to God. Please join me in prayer. Gracious and powerful God, as we open today's session at the Minnesota House of Representatives, we come seeking your guidance and leadership. God, each person in this room brings great and unique gifts, but in order to use those gifts best for our state, our nation, and our world, we need one another, and we need you. May each representative and staff member here approach one another with the kindness, patience, and humility that you modeled, Lord God. I pray, God, that this assembly might be home to wisdom, faithfulness, and consideration of the smallest and least powerful voices, as well as the largest and most powerful voices. I pray that no one's needs in Minnesota would be ignored, and that no one would be looked upon with scorn in this room. I pray that each person here, Lord, might be open to your surprise and your providence. God, bless this assembly, bless this state, and bless the United States of America. In God's name, amen. Thank you.
The chaplain for today is Reverend Angela Denker from Easter Lutheran Church, Eagan, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 91st Session, 2019. 8th day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Thursday, January 31st, 2019.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction. Today, the Chief Clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction of first reading of House Files 633 through 762.
First reading, House Files 633 through 762.
Banana, apple.
Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is House File 51. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 51, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to real property.
I recognize Representative Davnie, who will explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. The Twin Cities are amongst the leading region in the country for our level of home ownership, but also our gaps along racial lines in that home ownership. White home ownership is 76%, well above the national rate of 64%. But amongst our African American constituents, home ownership is 23%, and amongst communities of color broadly, 40%. Large gaps. We are a deeply segregated state, with often distinct majorities of races or cultures in certain areas or certain communities. And this segregation may be thought of as just the way it is, or something that we can't quite explain, or a choice by individuals. But this de facto segregation often has a de jure, a legal underpinning to it. And House File 51 attempts to put a spotlight on one practice that served to segregate this state to this day. It deals with the issue of racially restrictive covenants on abstract title properties. Now, if you don't know what a racially restrictive covenant is, an example will be coming around shortly. But these covenants are no longer legal, they're no longer enforceable, haven't been for decades, but they remain attached to that title. And by doing so, they present a moral harm to today's homeowners. House File 51, senior members may recognize the language because former Representative Sarah Anderson included it in her state government finance bill last year, and it eventually was amended into the Omnibus Prime bill and sent to former Governor Dayton. What it allows homeowners to do is attach an affidavit to their abstract rejecting the racially restrictive language in it. I want to thank the members of the real property community, in the number of members of the real property section of the American Bar Association, representatives of the Minnesota Land Trust Association, and representatives from the Hennepin County Recorder's Office for their assistance in preparing this bill. I ask for your support, and I stand ready for questions. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 51.
Third reading. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, Representative Davnie.
Madam Speaker, members, thank you. This is the work of our time, confronting the historical inequities so that we can also attack the inequities of today. I ask for your green votes. Thank you.
The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. There being 128 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there is no objection, we will take action on those motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail. Announcements. The member from Ramsey, Representative Lilly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. On Wednesday at 5:30 to 8 o'clock, they're having a celebration for the Legacy Amendment over at the History Center, and everybody's invited. There will be a brief program, which I'm not sure how brief it is because one of our senators is kicking it off, so it might be, you might want to come after that. So there'll be some presentations on the outdoor heritage part, a clean water part, parks and trails, and the arts and cultural heritage. And again, that's this coming Wednesday from 5:30 to 8, and there's some food over at the History Center. Love to have you all attend. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Scott, Representative Albright.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, Chief Clerk's office has delivered to each one of your desks an announcement about an invitation for Medical Alley legislative reception. It's this Wednesday, February 6th, from 4 until 6 p.m. at the St. Paul Hotel. I would encourage everyone to attend. Members, the reason I'm doing this is because I think it's important that we recognize one of Minnesota's proudest achievements, Medical Alley. Medical Alley is a global epicenter of health innovation and care, and is home to one of the most diverse health hubs in the world, representing everything from medical device to digital health, health insurance, biopharma, and diagnostics. Medical Alley is home to the world's medical giants, and we can all recite them by memory. But its unique ecosystem, I think, creates an environment that also helps small startups to flourish as well. Medical Alley doesn't just impact the world by taking its health challenges head on. It also has a great impact on its home state of Minnesota. For instance, Medical Alley is home to nearly 15,000 health innovation and care companies, and catch this, who employ close to 500,000 people. We all know our neighbors and members of our community who are employed by these companies, creating more than $60 billion of direct impact on Minnesota's economy. Medical Alley companies have developed more complex medical devices than anywhere else ever. Over the last 5 years, Medical Alley companies have raised more than $2.8 billion, with a B, dollars in investments, with investments in digital health alone increasing by more than 600%. The past, present, and future of health, innovation, and care lies in the hands of Medical Alley. And we should all be proud Medical Alley and their associates call Minnesota home. To better acquaint us with Medical Alley's impact, as I've said, I encourage each one of us to join them in celebrating Medical Alley on Wednesday at the St. Paul Hotel in the Capitol Vault for an exhibition of the devices and the products that we've come to take for granted, actually, in this state. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Koochiching, Representative Eklund.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to let the members know that tonight is the Minnesota Commanders Task Force meet and greet at the Capitol Ridge Hotel from 5:30 to 7:30, and all members and staff are invited to attend. There will be members from several veteran services organizations that will be there, so please come out to the Capitol Ridge from 5:30 to 7:30.
The member from Washington, Representative Detmer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And if you aren't quite aware what the Commander's Task Force is, there's 9 federally chartered veterans organizations that are chartered here in Minnesota, and many of them will be there tonight. And like the VFW, American Legions, DVA, Purple Heart, all the different organizations. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I have 3 announcements. The first is the tourism legislative reception will be in the vault from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And I think they'll have those cool cereal boxes that say Explore Minnesota on them, so you don't want to miss that. Secondly, the Legislative Audit Commission has been constituted for the year, and this week you will be getting a request for topics to be considered for the topic selection process. And then finally, the members of the DFL House Environment Finance Committee will be meeting right after session in the DFL caucus room. Thank you.
The member from Morrison, Representative Kresha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm wondering if Representative Wolgamott would yield for one quick question.
Representative Kresha, we don't ask people to yield under announcements. For the purpose of making an announcement, Representative Kresha.
Well, what I was wondering, Representative Wolgamott, have you made any progress with the new member social yet?
Announcements, Representative Wolgamott.
I do have an announcement and an update on that. As a matter of fact, my co-chair for the party, Representative Bowe, and I have been working on that. We're just finalizing the details. I can promise you on Thursday we'll have it all hammered out, and it's going to be a great time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Announcements. The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 3:30 p.m. Thursday, February 7th, 2019.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourned today, it adjourn until 3:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 7th, 2019. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the House stands adjourned until 3:30 p.m. Thursday, February 7th, 2019.